We have an identity crisis in the United States when it comes to religion. The same reason that the young men are flocking to people like Nick Fuentes is the same reason why people are flocking to the Catholic Church, and by that I mean specifically the young men. It's the trad form specifically of Catholicism that they are interested in. The form, meaning the form that takes them back to not even just the 1950s, but like the stylized or idealized form of 1950s. And I'm going to explain why that affected the election of this time. This is the ripple effect. The young women overwhelmingly voted for the lefties in this last election. 81% for Mondani, 80% for Sherrill, and 78% for Spanberger. With the increase of young men supposedly coming over to the conservative side, why are we not seeing that happening with the young women? And I'll tell you why. Let me get there. It's all part of this victim culture. Okay, and the young people are falling prey to it because they've been given this garbage for a very long time. The left started with the young women, I mean women in general, but specifically young women, and the young men have fallen victim to the victimization of someone who claim to be on the right. What do I mean? The problem is that young men are not turning to true conservatism or turning into being responsible beings, but rather victims. And follow me here. This victim mentality that the young men are beginning to develop. And unfortunately, it's a result of all the feminism stuff, which is why Andrew Tate was so popular for such a long time, because young men were getting disaffected, and people like Andrew Tate were coming in to coddle them, unfortunately, and tell them that they're the victims, and that since they're the victims, they have the right to fight, to push back in violent ways or horrible ways. And the way he taught people to treat women is absolutely garbage and horrible, and how you're only a real man if you can do all these things that have never qualified a real man or a good man or a godly man, which is what we should be driving our culture to. But all of this victim mentality from the men has given the women and of this generation, this young generation coming up, the ick, and causing them to run to the left. That and the fact that the right got too comfortable in our elections. We thought we were winning. And so because we thought we were winning, we didn't push as hard as we should have. We were not projecting the way we should have. And that's our fault. But we need to reach the young men, because if we lose them to the pseudo-conservatism of Nick Fuentes and stuff, where they're coddling them and holding them and telling them it's okay, you're the one that's struggling, you're the one that's suffering, you're the one that's disaffected, no one's doing anything for you, then they're never going to stand on their own, and we're just going to keep seeing this polarization greater and greater and greater. The problem is, if we have true conservatism, we can reach them once they finally get to a point in their lives. And this is the funny thing that even Churchill said. You know, you're liberal when you're young, so we know you have a heart, but you're conservative when you get older because you prove to us that you have a brain. And if we can prove to them that there's a reason to come to the conservative movement by the values that we hold and we have, this whole idea of America being built on lifting yourself up and being strong and independent is what's going to keep our country from becoming Rome, where so many people were dependent on the government that it eventually collapse as the barbarians come in. Now, with the Prop 50 issues, unfortunately in California, the Prop 50 passed. And the saddest part about the Prop 50 is, and this is my frustration, I'm almost thinking that there should be a test before you actually vote on whether you know what in the world you're voting on. And why am I saying that? Because of the people that voted for Prop 50, 90% and more than 90%, I think it's like 92% of the people that voted in Prop 50, voted yes on Prop 50 to redistrict however the governor kind of wants. Very partisan, going to be removing almost all the representation from the Republicans in California. 92% of those voters went in after they voted and polled saying that they actually wanted a third party people to do it. Meaning they did not know what was on Prop 50. All they knew was that they were told by the shills on the left to go vote yes. And you wonder why we are so opposed to so much immigration illegally and everything else, and then just forgiving them and casting them on the tolls. I get so irritated when I contacted this, when I was trying to find my nearest poll station, I contacted the phone thing, and it was like, for English, press 1, for Spanish, press 2, for, I think it was Hindi or something, press 3. And I'm like, what in the tarnation are we talking about here? If you don't understand enough of the language of the country to have a conversation on the phone, maybe you shouldn't be voting. Because you're a low information voter who gets manipulated. And we saw this proven with the Prop 50. We have to increase their knowledge. We have to get the message out. We have to teach. That's the point of this channel and every channel that's out there trying to teach. We've got to give people the information and the truth so they can grow. And part of this is I want to get people off of this victim mentality. And the problem is that both the left and the right are teaching this or encouraging this victim mentality. How can we get them off of this? We need to stop looking at ourselves and what we deserve or what we need. Meaning the lefty women that are out there trying to have their abortions so they can do whatever the heck they want and then also, have their abortions with no consequences. And these guys on the right that want to, I guess, go back to this idealized, stylized version of trad wives that are just obeying their everything they ever command, right? And then pampering them hand and foot. I'm going to take you to the Bible. Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." If you look to God and you focus on God, God will give you everything that you need in your life. May not be in the timing that you want, may not be the way that you want, but we have to look to God because God is the only one who can take care of us. If you're feeling pushed down by a group of people, go to God. If you're feeling lonely and left out, go to God. Put him first in your life. Young men, if you're out there and you want this amazing woman as a wife, I get it. I understand. I've been blessed to have one. Here's my point. Look to God. Seek his kingdom first. And God will give you everything that you've wanted in the right way. Young women, you want to have a relationship with someone, and this is the whole abortion culture thing. You want to do all of these acts and so on. There's a right time and place for everything. And if you seek the kingdom of God first, God will provide you everything in the time that you need it. Again, I'm not saying he's going to provide it in the time you want it. I'm going to say he's going to provide it in the time that you need it. And our country has to belong to God. Not to these parties, not to our feelings, not to our desires. In Psalms 22:28, it says, "For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he is the governor among the nations." We lose our country when we lose sight on whose country it is. And there's a lot of garbage out there. You have the alt-right who is saying that it's us against Israel. You have people that are saying, that it's no God at all and that it belongs to the people and that the people are what create the that was cracking up. There was that senator, I believe, who was saying that how dare we say our rights come from God? And I'm like, well, it's in our Constitution, or our Declaration of Independence, rather. Kind of built the country off of that. And then lastly, Psalms 33:12. "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance." Choose to be one of the people that God chooses for his inheritance, and you won't have this fighting back and forth. If you make God the controller of this nation, we'll have a nation that elects the right people. We'll have a nation where we don't see this this difference between the young men and the young women going violently two different directions. We'll have a nation that's desirable to be in. We'll have a nation of laws. We'll have a nation of good if we put God first in our country and in our lives. Don't fall to the fallacy of the victim status on either side. Not if you're on the left, not if you're on the right. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's interfering with us right now. I'll give you that. There's a lot of regulations and so on that prevent us from being able to stand up on our own. Let's get rid of those things. If you want to focus on a little bit of victimhood, focus on the things that prevent us from expanding on our own, doing things on our own. And let's get religion back to where it's supposed to be, focused on God and Him only. Making sure that we're reaching those for the lost for Christ. Because if we don't, they're going to go to religions that don't actually care about the heart of things and give the form of things without the heart. And we need people to have their hearts changed. We need to have beliefs that are solid, that are real, that are convicted. Try to reach one. Everyone reach one today. And we can change the world. We can change this world to what it should be for God. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.